This old man owned a beautiful grass-filled property in the heart of town. He loved it, but not everyone liked his claim on the land. Housing developers tried to buy his house for years, but the old man always refused them. It was a beautiful forest-filled property where animals bred and rivers flowed throughout. But then something terrible happened. Larry bought the large piece of wild country back in the 60s. He and his family cultivated some of it and managed to build a large but warm family home there. But there was one problem. Once Larry got older, taking care of his vast land became much harder. Of course, he wanted nature to thrive on its own mainly, but maintaining a well-balanced forest still took a lot of manual work. That's why he eventually was forced to sell large pieces of land to someone. The buyer seemed like a genuine guy. He told Larry that he was a profound nature lover and would make it his life's mission to preserve his beautiful wild land as much as possible. Because almost instantly, after signing over the deeds to this supposed friend, things started changing. And when Larry asked about it, he discovered that the buyer sold all the property to housing developers for profit. The old man was heartbroken. He had made this place what it was, the area that his family called home. And now he saw how corporate people slowly but surely destroyed every inch of it. After that moment of realization, he made a promise to himself, a commitment to never sell this last piece of land that he owned. Not to friends, not to anyone. It didn't matter how much the forest around him changed, this previous piece would remain the same, and he had an extra special reason for it. The fact that he was getting older was a nudge in the door for the housing developers. They contacted Larry multiple times, trying to persuade him with offers to buy the land. To be fair, they were reasonable offers. But as you might expect, Larry refused every last one of them. Larry asked for the men's intent even though he already knew why they came by, but the way they said it this time made him less defensive. They told Larry that they just wanted to talk in person. Larry walked at a surprisingly fast pace and guided them through the house. He wanted to talk in his study, but that room was in the back of the house. The men peeked into every room they passed on the way over to the study, and with each room they viewed, their eyes widened more. This house was unlike anything they had ever seen. The old man stepped through an archway and behind it was his study. He told the men following him to hurry up, but they were too busy admiring this bizarre place to notice those words. "You can't live here all by yourself. This house is too large, and those rooms are too specifically decorated for that to be true. Where is your family, sir?" a developer asked. They all looked at the man, wondering what he would say next. But then Larry's eyes teared up and he started crying. The old man looked at the ground, clearly searching for the right words, and then said there was no family. It was just him, and there had not been any family in this house for many years now. Larry stepped outside of his study and walked into the newspaper room. From there, he grabbed a dusty and discolored newspaper and showed it to the men in his house. It was an article from decades ago that showed how his family all passed away in a bizarre car accident. "I was the only survivor." Larry continued by saying that the rooms belonged to his loving family. His wife loved gardening so much that he built her an indoor greenhouse. His young daughter loved the color pink and stuffed bunnies. It was heartbreaking to see. But now they also realized the repercussions of their actions. By changing his family forest into an urban area, they added to the man's pain, which made him hang on to the past even more. They mumbled while Larry kept staring downward, but then a loud voice arose from the group of men. "I've got it." He said it was a plan they had in storage for a while, but it was never fully realized. But learning about your past, it just might work. He first of all promised never to build another house on Larry's property again. The developer continued speaking and said the original idea was not to build housing on Larry's large final piece of land. Its central placement in the town made it a perfect spot for a large community park. What they needed the man's last large piece of land to build this park. The large strip would be divided into a personal living quarter for him, with his own private garden. Larry started smiling for the first time since they arrived at his house. The old man said that if they brought back nature, it would be like forest was around his home again. The leading developer answered yes, a forest vibe is what we will go for. It still has to be a park for kids to play in, but we want to keep the rural forest feeling alive. They agreed and shook hands. Within a year, the town's park was realized. It was hard at first. Larry held on to the never-changing rooms for so long that it was difficult to change things. He was looking toward the future, and by doing so, he was dealing with the trauma from his past.